Today I'm going to demonstrate how to make my favorite cake, the Butterfinger cake. First you're going to have to make sure that you have all your ingredients and utensils so that you don't run out of your ingredients while you're making your cake or have to run around the kitchen looking for your utensils. The utensils you're going to need are a mixing bowl, a 9x13 baking pan, non-stick baking spray, 2 spatulas, a whisk, a 2-cup measuring cup, toothpicks and an oven mitt, a wooden spoon, a rolling pin, and if you don't have a rolling pin, a hammer will work just as well, a server, and a fork and a plate. The ingredients you'll need are German chocolate cake mix, preferably from Betty Crocker, half a cup of oil, 1.5 cups of water, and 3 eggs. You'll also need butterscotch caramel topping, Cool Whip, and 3 Butterfinger. Before you start mixing, preheat your oven to 300 degrees and spray your baking pan with non-stick spray. First, take your German chocolate cake mix and pour it in the bowl. Then, get 1.5 cups of water, and add that to the mix. Then, get half a cup of vegetable oil, and make sure it is vegetable oil. And then crack 3 eggs into the mix. After you've cracked the eggs, make sure to wash your hands. Take your whisk and mix the batter together until it's mostly smooth. Once you have your batter mostly smooth, take your baking pan and pour the batter in. And then use your spatula, make sure you get the extra out. Once you have the batter in the pan, let it set for about a minute to make sure that it'll bake evenly. Now, I'm going to tell you about a little trick to make sure that your cake is done. When your cake is done, you take a toothpick out and you poke it in the center of your cake. When you pull it out, if there's nothing on the toothpick, then your cake is ready to cool off. If there is anything left on, put it back in the oven for 3 to 5 minutes, depending on about how much cake batter was left on the toothpick. And when your cake is pulled out of the oven, let it set for about an hour. So, this should be ready to put in the oven. And so that you don't have to wait for an hour and a half, we move on to the next part. I baked the second cake. To start this next step, take your wooden spoon and poke 12 evenly spaced holes in the cake. Then, take your butterscotch caramel topping and pour it evenly over the top of your cake. Once you've poured it over the top of your cake, take your Cool Whip and put the entire thing in your cake. Use your spatula to make sure that you spread it around evenly. Once you've spread the Cool Whip around evenly on top of the cake, then you take your Butterfingers and either a rolling pin or a hammer. I prefer to use the hammer. Make sure to leave the Butterfinger inside the package so that it doesn't get your counter messy, and then you break it. Just go around all four sides until it's nice and broken up. Make sure it's nice and broken. Then you open up the top and sprinkle it on top of your cake. And don't worry if you make a little bit of a mess. You can clean that up later. And then you can use as many of them as you want. I'm just going to use 2. And now, the Butterfinger cake is done, and it's ready to be served. So whether you want to enjoy it by yourself or you feel like sharing it with your family, eat up and enjoy.